So now you've heard the tune Ode to Joy from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. I talked a little bit about Beethoven, his significance as a composer. Now let's start the piece. Let's start working on it now so you can learn it. It's probably the hardest piece we've worked on so far. It's a really rich piece, has lots of nuances and things that we can really dig our teeth into. So let's get to it. Get up your music, take a look at it. Now the first thing I like to do when I get a new piece of music, I look over the whole piece before I play anything. I look it over and see if there are any problem measures, things that I really need to work on, things that I need to get together so that I don't stumble on them when I'm playing through. So let's start from the beginning, just looking it over with our eyes. So measure 1 looks pretty straightforward, all the notes we know. Measure 2, same thing. Measure 3 looks okay, all from that C major scale, everything's fitting in. Now, measure 4 looks like there's something new there. We've got a quarter note with a dot after it, followed by something that looks like a quarter note, but it's got a little squiggly stem on it. Well, that note with the squiggly stem is called an eighth note, and it's half a count. Now the note before that, the quarter note with the dot, remember when I talked about half note having a dot, it came out to 3 beats. So a dot adds on half the value of the original note. Well, it's the same in this case, but the original note is worth 1 count, so that dot makes it 1.5 counts. 1.5 counts. Well, how do you count to 1.5? Well, you have to break the beat into halves. No longer are you only thinking in just one part of the beat, but you're thinking the beat has a down and an up part to it. So this one's going to have a down, up, down. And then that eighth note is only half the beat, so it's on the up in this case. Eighth notes only get half. So when you're playing eighth notes, if you think when you're tapping your foot down, up, while you play eighth notes, that will really help you. So continuing along, looks like measure 5 is okay, measure 6, measure 7, those are all good. Measure 8, again, we have that same kind of rhythm. And before we really tackle it, I'll play it for you so you can hear it. But we'll take a look at it in a second. Measure 9 looks okay. Measure 10, oh, there's those eighth notes. Now those are eighth notes. They don't have the squiggle on them, but they're barred together. So those 2 eighth notes connected are eighth notes. That's what they are. That's how they look like when you put 2 in a row. Okay? So eighth notes, half a count each. So if you're tapping your foot, one of those notes plays on the downbeat and the other one plays on the up part of the beat. Okay? Same kind of thing going on in the next measure. I see measure 11. We have that same type of rhythm. So that's something you can look out for as you're playing. And everything else looks pretty cool except for the very end. We've got that same rhythm we had before, the dotted quarter followed by the eighth note, which is followed by a half note, which we know. Well, before we start really working on it, let me just play those hard measures for you so you can hear them. Here's measure 4. I'm going to give you a count off so you can hear what it's supposed to sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me play it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how that rhythm goes. Now, it's almost the same notes in measure 8. Pretty close, same rhythm, just slightly different. We move the notes down. Let me play that for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Very close. Now, let's look at our other problem measures. Measure 10. 1, 2, ready, play. Not too bad. Now let's go on to measure 11. 3, 4. Now they're almost the same, just one note difference at the end of the measure. Okay, so very similar. Let me play those 2 measures together. 1, 2, ready, play. So there you have it. Those are the hard measures. It's always good to check those out first before you really start digging in. Now, since we already took a look at those hard measures, let's try to play the song in 4-measure increments. So we'll break it down into 4-measure increments. Now it's fine if you want to play it slower, but I'm going to try to stay in tempo for right now. Let's just keep it up to tempo so we can get through it. Here's the first 4 measures. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, now the next 4 measures are almost exactly the same as the first 4 measures, just the last measure has different notes, but everything's almost the same. So you know what? Let's skip over that for right now because I think we've got that. Let's go on to measure 9. This is where things get a little different. So let's take that slowly and we'll try to play these 4 measures. Let's see if we can do it slowly. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, so now you can practice those measures slowly, as slow as you want. But when you're practicing slow, try to stay in tempo. Whatever tempo you decide, stick with it. As slow as possible is fine. Slow practice is a really good thing. A lot of my saxophone teachers always stress that to me, and I stress that to you as well. When you're learning something, practice it slow first before you try to get fast. All right, looking at the last 4 measures, we've already worked on those measures because they're the same as some of the other measures on the top. They're basically the same. We repeat a lot of these measures in here. So this song is really not as hard as it might look at first. So let's go ahead and play through it. I want to try something. We're going to jump right to it. Let's see if we can play it with some of our own dynamics going through it. Now, I'm going to demonstrate it for you. You can play along with me to blend in. I'm going to try to use some dynamics, some crescendos and decrescendos, meaning getting louder and softer throughout the piece to make it sound more musical. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So keep working on this piece. I'm sure with a little more practice, you'll get it just right. Perfect. Practice makes perfect.